Good morning, Grace Maria. Good morning, all my lovelies. Let me see. Make sure the angles are correct and properly sorted before. Let me close that window so that the dog does not. Yo, bro. What's up, bro? What's shaking, dude? How's it hanging? All right. Fix some angles here. Boy, that song has been stuck in my head for ages and ages, and it will not go away. What you doing? Well, I am setting up for class. We are starting a little bit early today because I realized I have back-to-back appointments, so I need to adjust my schedule. However, for those of you who are new here, hello. My name is Reverend Deborah. I am an interfaith minister. I am a movement facilitator, movement in breath, body, and being, and I am your shenanigan shaman. So please do not expect to take yourself too seriously in here. Do we talk about serious things? Yeah. But we've learned, right, that weaving curiosity and willingness, weaving playfulness into everything we do lightens the load, makes even the scariest moments a lot easier to face. Thank you, Time to Unite. How are you? Hold on, I didn't send my message in the Discord. If anybody is interested in connecting deeper and spending more time with me and with our awesome little community that we are building, please come join our Discord. The link for the Discord is on my Patreon page, patreon.com/movewithchange. And so is everything else. There's a lot of stuff on my Patreon page. You can join the Discord for free. There's memberships if you want to work directly with me. And there's all kinds of fun goodies and whatnots. I love to drop recipes over there, as well as just thoughts and blogs and things like that. But there are resources. If you join the Discord, there are more resources. I give you more information on each mudra we do each week. And there is an open space for us to chit-chat about any of these topics. And not just directly with me, but where we can have a community discussion, chime in and share these things and share our personal experiences with them, because you are your own guru. Have I done my 20 plus years of study and practice in the field of human and development and wellness? Yes. I did that on purpose because it was my path, it was for me, and it was really important for me to do. Now that I've done that work, I realized that the tools that I acquired or I learned during those times are literally the tools that have changed my life, saved my life. And honestly, knowledge is power. You have the right. Knowledge, it should be free. Knowledge is available. Should be available. Needs to be available. There's no reason to gatekeep. As far as from this perspective, I think it's more important that you have the information so that you can use the information to your benefit. If you want to work directly with me and learn how to use the information with a guide, that is what I charge for. Everything else, my friends, is... My brain was like, public property. No, it's not public property. It's a library. They've got to like check out a book and request it and whatnot. It's not public property. I haven't unrolled my brain to leave it out there. But my perspective is just my perspective. My experience is just my experience. And while there is value in that, we must recognize that we each have our own intrinsic value as well, not just with the information we know, but with the experiences we have and the way that we perceive that information. So, for the last several weeks, for those of you who are new here, this is our Bhakti Bites class. Bhakti means devotion, so devotion to what? It's devotion to self-care. And while I am coming on a little bit early, it's 9:30 here Pacific time, and our meditation won't start until 10. I won't ever start before 10 o'clock. Hey, Bobby. I won't ever start before 10 o'clock because I want everybody to know that they can reliably get the meditation at a particular time. If that changes, I will always create an announcement and let everybody know. So for now, let's start by talking about our chakra for the week. So this week we are working with the throat chakra, also known as the Vishuddha or Vishuddhi chakra. It's located here in the throat, mostly towards the base of the throat, although the energy of it, depending on how big or how contractive, how expansive or how contractive this energy is, that it will be more of a point versus more of a spatial energy. Hi, kittens. It is very likely we will have cats coming in and out of the thing today. They are very chatty and very demanding, so I don't know what's going on today. Something's happening. Kittens are finally getting old enough to bother them, I think. All right. Well, let's start with the anecdotal stuff. Morning, Casey. How are you? Throat chakra. Located here and represented by the color blue. So when I say represented by the color blue, what does that mean? Does that mean we give it like an arbitrary color that it correlates to? No. This actually, remember that colors have a frequency. Notes have a frequency, music notes have a frequency, and we can connect music notes and colors, right? Same thing with the chakras. This is that connection point of the chakras. Hey, Star Muse, how are you? So the frequency of the throat chakra, I'm sorry, I can't remember at the moment what the hertz is, what the gigahertz is sound for the throat chakra. But the frequency of this chakra is on the same wavelength as the color blue. This chakra develops, hey lovely, hey Lindsay. This chakra develops between the ages of 7 and about 12. So this is where, think about what you're doing, right? At the age of 7 and 12. I spoke last week a little bit about the heart chakra, which develops between the ages of 4 to 7. And that's where we are starting to understand relationships outside of ourselves, starting to play playground politics, kind of realizing that there are relationships, not just me and somebody else, but somebody else and somebody else has a relationship. This is what we're going through, social, emotional, cognitive development. These are the things that we're doing during those stages. So when we shift from 4 to 7 to 7 to 12, that you guys know a whole lot, right? What happens during this? This is our tween, preteen, starting to come up into that whole, this is who I am and I'm going to show myself to the world kind of energy, which our teens eventually have. And it's a very important part of their development. But during this time, the throat chakra, just as each of the other chakras, will just kind of settle into its familiar, comfortable formation, into its frequency. And that can result in either a balanced chakra or somewhere on the spectrum between excess and deficiency. Remember that the chakras, the energy of the chakras can shift throughout the day, as well as like throughout months and years. So an imbalance today doesn't immediately mean an imbalance tomorrow, but also one can have an excess chakra and then end up in a deficiency mode. Same the opposite. Someone can be in a deficiency mode. And I find it a lot of times when you're in the more extreme spaces, when you're in those real excess, you will have bouts of total deficiency, right? It's kind of like you bounce back and forth. Why is the energy doing this, bouncing all over the place, bouncing back and forth? Because it's trying to find balance. Remember, your system is constantly working to get you back into equilibrium, and then it's falling into chaos, devolving into chaos, and then back again, right? This is the nature of all of creation. That's the nature of the entire universe, and our bodies and our chakra systems are no different. So between the ages of 7 to 12 is when we're working on the right to speak and to be heard. So the demon of the chakra is dishonesty. right? If we feel that we haven't been heard, or we haven't been able to speak, or we've been shut down in some way, or our opinions, pushed away or belittled, or our creativity, our playfulness quieted, these kinds of things, it can cause us to be dishonest in our expression, because the goal of the throat chakra is to express itself. It's funny because my throat chakra is sitting here, and like mid-sentence it keeps stopping me. So I'm going to take let me show you guys the mudra. Before we sit for a meditation, let me show you guys the mudra, because I'm going to be using this mudra a little bit today to bring myself back into balance. The mudra, remember, mudras are hand positions that serve to redirect the energy channels in the body. We like to sit with our mudras for at least 5 minutes, because it takes about 5 minutes for it to fully circulate through the system. You can hold it for just 1 or just 3, and that's fine. You will receive benefit, but if you want more benefit, or I don't even know about max benefit, I don't know if there's a max benefit, you want to sit at least 5 minutes, which we will do in about 15 minutes, okay? So the mudra for the throat chakra, for the Vishuddha chakra, bring the backs of your hands together and interlace your fingers, and then just close them up. You don't have to be very tight. You can do so loosely. And then bring your pointer and your thumb to connect into interlocking circles here. Now you hold those interlocking circles up here at your throat. Play with this. Find where there's a comfortable position with your hands where it's not too tight. Remember, we don't hold our mudras with tension. We don't want to create tension. We are sitting in this space to release tension. So we hold our mudras only with intention. I bring intention to the way that I hold my mudra, ensuring that there's no tension and it doesn't collapse on itself. It remains active, and I remain present with the mudra. So again, the mudra is done by interlacing your fingers like back to back, actually back to back, and then bringing your thumbs and your index to touch in interlocking circles here in the front of the fist. So this is the Vishuddha chakra mudra. Remember, again, there are several mudras for every single chakra. I am sharing with you guys what I consider the foundational mudras for each of the chakras. Our throat is about our creativity and self-expression. Remember, we've been working through the lower chakras, right? So let's talk about what happens with the energy as the energy moves up. Our first experience is our root chakra. Our root chakra is our sense of grounding, our sense of safety, our sense of right to simply exist. This is the I am. I am here. I exist. I manifest into this reality. That is the workings of the root chakra. We move up to the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is about our nourishing. This is our first attempts to interact with the world and to determine whether or not the universe responds, or how the universe responds to us. This is our center for nurturing. Up one more is your solar plexus. Your solar plexus is your center for will. So let's talk about stages too. Root chakra, womb to 6 months-ish. Sacral chakra, 6 months to about 18 months. A little more than, almost 2 years-ish. Remember, these are not exact. These are overlaid really nicely with several different child development theories, between cognitive, social, emotional, physical development. We can see the alignment in all of these other psychology and development theories along with the chakras as well. So there are some overlap in some of these. And it's an approximate shift, because we don't have a day that we wake up and suddenly, boom, now I'm working on this other chakra. The energy moves up, and depending on how stuck it gets, or how difficult, how murky it is in those lower chakras, how imbalanced they are, it may take a little bit of time. That energy may be more sluggish. So it may be more difficult to work on these upper chakras if we have really deficient or stuck energy down here. So we've got our root. I am. I exist. Am I safe in this world? Am I safe to exist? I have. I receive. Will the universe respond to my cries for help? Can I take care of other people and be taken care of? Solar plexus, your center for will. Can I affect the world? So again, this is 0 to 6, 6 to 18 months, 18 months to about 4. Yes, to about the age of 4. Here in the heart, we go from 4 to about 7. And then we move to the throat chakra between about 7 and 12. We've talked about this as well before, and I think this is a really interesting point to note, is that up until the age of 8, the brain is still in the theta brainwaves state. The brain does not come out of dream time, not even in the waking time for children under the age of 8. Not completely. Is there a shift in consciousness? Yeah, totally. But they are remaining within the theta brainwaves. So while the development of all of these things underneath are happening, right? My decision about whether or not I'm safe in the world, whether or not I will be nourished, whether or not I can affect and interact with the world, whether or not I can be valued within that world and supported for the ways that I have become me so far. And depending on all these things is going to influence how this energy comes into the throat chakra. So again, if we have imbalance in these, one of the first manifestations of that will be dishonesty. Will be dishonesty, poor communication skills. But remember that this is also the time in our development when we are testing those things. We just came out of the theta brainwaves, right? About the age of 8. Hey, Byron. Just coming out of the theta brainwaves, coming into the age of 8. Now, you know that when a 2-year-old, right, they've got no sense of no presence of mind. They don't even understand that you have your own thoughts and own relationships and whatnot. So when they come to you with chocolate all over their face, telling you that they didn't eat it, it is not a, how do I want to shift? Because this is a really important shift. It is not a deceptive behavior. It is an experimentation. It is a creative response. Remember, they're not in the full consciousness. Hey, June. They are still in the dream time. So if you listen to a child's stories, they're very fanciful and not grounded in what we consider reality because their brain cannot function that way yet. So when we get up here, now it's time to actually interact with the real world, well, the matrix world, right? And they are coming into the realization of all of those pieces. That is going to affect how this chakra settles. Can I be creative, right? Can I make all kinds of crazy sounds with my voice while I'm sitting in the house without my parent tell me to shut the heck up, right? Quit making those sounds. And as somebody who lives with CPTSD, I know that this is something for me that I work with my son. Because for me with CPTSD, there are some noises that I'm like, okay, the bells are ringing, there's alarms going off when you make that sound. I need you to maybe take that sound outside, right? Let's redirect, versus saying stop and accusing him of doing something wrong in that expression. Because I recognize that is a creative expression. And for him to fully satisfy the development of his throat chakra, just like any child, any of us need to play with our voice, to play with our words, to play with our expression, to play with our creativity, to play with honesty and dishonesty, truth or not truth. The world just became real. And I have to decide which pieces of that I'm going to agree with and hold on to. This is where our morality starts to develop. This is where our recognition and responsibility of personal consequences So we start to recognize those things. The consequence of my words. Different than the consequence of my actions, right? I learned the consequence of my actions in a way when I was younger, and as a 2-year-old working on these ones, working on this one here. This is the consequence of my actions center. This is the consequence of my words. And my words connect to my thoughts. And this sets the foundation for higher thinking and more moral value setting, as well as the acceptance and personal responsibility. Sense of personal responsibility over our words. Do my words have power? Does my opinion matters? Does my opinion matter? And will I be heard, right? To speak and to be heard, because an imbalanced throat chakra can be created if you were allowed to speak, but no one really heard what you were saying or responded to you as if they did. Right? During our cognitive development, during this time, ages 7 to 12, we are working through the stage of industry versus inferiority. So this expression of energy here is a culmination of how balanced or imbalanced, where these chakras are. These are all going to influence how this begins to express itself, and will also influence how balanced it ends up being. What's interesting to me about the throat chakra, a lot of these lower chakras, for example, the heart, when the heart is deficient, it's kind of armored off. It's closed off. It cannot receive external love, but it does not give internal love either. An excess can give lots of external love, but doesn't give internal love either. And doesn't receive it because there's so much pushing out energy. Similar here, an excess of my will, right, is I leave no room for anybody else's will. It is only mine. Or a deficient says, I have so severe boundaries, I can't receive anybody else's interactions in my life, right? All of these chakras, when there is a deficiency, are pretty closed off. Almost, not completely, right? None of these, remember, I want to reiterate here too, regardless of where you're at, you are not beyond repair, you are not completely broken, and your chakras are not completely closed off. It's not possible. This is the channels through which your life force flows. So if you are alive right now, your chakras are active and doing their thing. May they be imbalanced? Possibly. Could potentially even severely. That may happen. I did find these things. Old moldy cheese, welcome, my friend. I will talk about that in a few minutes. This week we are talking about the Vishudda chakra. For those of you interested in getting the replays for these classes, we've been talking about the chakras for several weeks now, because we are up here on the 5th chakra. Replays are on my YouTube page with a membership. You can snag the membership here, or you can snag it on Patreon. But I will talk about the chakras. Yes, I do offer one-on-one sessions directly with me. You can purchase those on my Patreon page, patreon.com/move-with-change, or you can send me a message and we can chat about it too. I'm happy to just talk to somebody on the side. But if you want direct one-on-one time, interacting, answering personal questions and that kind of stuff, practicing sessions, you get full access to my toolbox when we have a private session. So, let's see. What's interesting to me is that all of these are pretty closed off. When the throat chakra is deficient, there is a kind of wall that's created around it, so the energy can't come in. I don't listen very well, right? That's my closed off throat chakra. I don't listen very well, and potentially don't speak externally, don't express myself very well. An excess would be a lot of expression, although not very good expression, right? Just kind of like word vomit, versus the other end, where you got somebody who just really doesn't speak. But when the throat chakra is deficient, that energy turns inward. This is where we create ourself. This is why a lot of our self-talk from our earliest memory, from our earlier self, right, is from the things that have been said to us in these times in particular. Again, the throat chakra develops between the ages of 7 to 12. And it turns inward. Whether it's an excess, whether it's a deficiency, whether it's balanced, there is always an inward flow because you have some kind of self-talk. And when I say that, I am also including people who do not hear voices in their heads, right? It's okay if you do not. There is still a self-expression, an internal creative expression that occurs within. So, again, every week I am offering a mudra to balance the chakras. Why do we use mudras? Because they are my favorite tools. They redirect the energy in the body without you doing anything except for sitting with your hands in that particular position. You can do them when you're doing other things. You can do them when you're sitting there on the couch watching Netflix. When you're Netflixing and chill, hold your mudra and get a full 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour of your mudra. And it will, I swear, I promise, it will behoove you. So, the Vishudda Chakra Mudra is done like so. Bring the backs of your hands together and interlace your fingers. Do so gently at first, or just a little bit at first, and then you can readjust, okay? So do so just a little bit. Interlace the tips of your fingers, and then fold your hands together and touch the tips of your index and your thumb, creating 2 interlocking circles here. You hold this at your throat. So again, modify based on where you are at in the moment. You can also try going much tighter with the mudra, and that works too. Once you have your Vishudda Mudra, you hold it here at the throat, and then just relax the throat. And we will practice this in maybe like 5-10 minutes. I'm going to wait until after 10 o'clock Pacific time for everybody to get here. There is another piece to this mudra. This one is not just a hand mudra to work with the throat chakra, although you can do just this part. The other piece is to gently touch, when you're in meditation here with this, gently touch the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth. That assists in balancing the throat chakra and clearing the channel of upward movement here into the third eye, and clearing the receptive movement downward from the third eye into the voice. That's what touching the top of the tip of your tongue to the top of your mouth, to the roof of your mouth. So for us to develop, remember, like I said, this is the area where we're also developing morality, our sense of personal consequences and whatnot, and are taking our responsibility for those personal consequences. Think how intimately that intertwines with the idea of honesty, right? Honesty with self, honesty with others, honesty about personal feelings on things, honesty about what you value and what you don't, honesty with yourself, more importantly than anything else, because the honesty with yourself will create an outward flow as well. You cannot have a fully honest outward flow and a dishonest inward flow. It's not how the throat chakra works. That dishonesty inward or outward is going to go the opposite way as well. Equal and opposite reaction, maybe. Maybe this is what it was. Okay, so remember, everybody, welcome, it's 10 o'clock. Usually class starts at 10 o'clock. I have been trying to go a little bit earlier and earlier and running longer. For those of you who are new here, hello, my name is Reverend Deborah. I am an interfaith minister. I am a movement facilitator, movement in breath, body, and being. And I am your shenanigan shaman, because we don't take ourselves too seriously in here. Do I have any mods in here today? That's okay. That's what I get for coming in a little bit early, because I don't have mods. So remember, everyone, because it is 10 o'clock now. Okay, so let's do the official. I already gave my hello. This space is our CAYA community space. CAYA, C-A-Y-A, stands for Come As You Are. Come as you are, because authenticity is the goal here. Authenticity is what we are seeking, and authenticity is what we are encouraging. However, it is important to note that authenticity is not arrogant. Authenticity is not obtuse or verbose. Thank you, friend. Authenticity is a love for self and other. Authenticity is the recognition of value of self and other. So, the most important way that we ask everyone to show up in this space, beyond authentic, is curious and willing. I invite you into this space to meet each other with curiosity and willingness. Doing so affords the opportunity to speak and be heard, to learn something new that might even surprise you, right? That said, just like in a church or in a temple, which is open to everyone, everyone is welcome. If you come into this space and are intentionally disruptive or downright mean, you will be either muted. I don't block people. Usually I don't block people, although if I've had a repeat offender in here who's doing the same thing over and over every day, coming into temple, doing the same thing, then I will go ahead and block the account. But I would like to make sure that we give people the opportunity to show up. Sometimes, and there's been many times, and I want to say this briefly because you might see it here in the chat. There have been many times where people will come in that obtuse way, and then end up staying and end up receiving something and end up enjoying the space. And that's the ideal. We want everyone to feel welcome. And we also recognize that not everyone has the tools to show up curious and willing. Sometimes when we doubt that ourselves, our own value, then we immediately come in assuming other people are going to doubt our value. And so we show up as if we need to prove something or convince people of things or put somebody else down to feel a little better. So these kind of behaviors, as we explore the energy body and the chakras and human development and wellness, we understand these kinds of behaviors to be essentially immature parts of ourselves. When my solar plexus chakra, when my Manipura chakra becomes imbalanced because of situations early in my life where I tried to express my will and it was thwarted, or I was belittled for it or shamed for it, what have you. The demon here of the solar plexus is shame. If this was the case and I ended up with a very excessive solar plexus chakra to make up for that feeling of shame, then I'm going to show up a particular way, probably arrogant and quite pushy. This is where you get somebody who believes that their will is more important than anyone else. We recognize that this is an imbalance. We recognize that this is still a childish part of themselves who may be like 3 or 4 years old, still demanding that thing that they needed, So just like we see our 50-year-old woman in Starbucks who's throwing a tantrum over not getting the right milk, we recognize that that piece of her is just unhealed. That piece of her is just young. And I want to even steer away from unhealed, because unhealed has its own connotation of, oh, you're broken. I'm not saying that. You are you. You are fucking beautiful as you are, even as chaotic and imbalanced as you are. This is your path and this is your journey. This is your opportunity to recognize that imbalance and to find equilibrium again, if you would like to. If not, then this might not be the space for you. You can come in and chat about these things. You can, again, I am not your guru. I also want to add that. I am not your guru. I don't have all the answers for anyone, but I do have a hell of a toolbox that I have spent my lifetime developing, and these are tools that I know have changed and saved my own life, and I have seen them positively affect others. It is so important to me that you have this information because it is so powerful that I am giving this stuff away for free. The information. If you want to work directly with me, again, I have membership options for that. I have one-off sessions for that. You can send me a message or you can go check out my Patreon page. Send you love, Bonnie. Martin, a great number of people have never learned acceptance or surrender. See, now these things come from trust. To surrender, I must have a sense of trust. Otherwise, it feels life-threatening. And when we are living in imbalance, many things feel life-threatening. Even like somebody having an opposite opinion from me suddenly feels life-threatening. Why? That has nothing to do with their opinion and has everything to do with my level of confidence in my value and my opinion. And we see a lot of this in this world right now where people are ego-identifying with opinions and things outside of themselves that then they fight to, put up arms to battle over. And I'm like, guys, these things are finite realities. Opinions change. Even values change. And if I set my values on only what I know in this tiny little narrow perspective that is my personal perspective, then I am sorely limiting myself from understanding the full scope of reality. Now, this may be a safe place to stay for some people, and I want to encourage you not to judge people who stay within their boundaries. It is okay. The path you choose is okay. That's why I'm not trying to force you into anything. That's why I'm not telling you have to do it like this, you have to do it like that. And anybody who tells you have to do it their way is probably misleading you. Your way is within you. And I hope that the tools I offer here can assist you in doing the internal excavation necessary to unearth your authentic self. Whether that be your authentic truth, whether that be your authentic purpose, whether that be your authentic desires, or whether that just be your authentic, creative, crazy, silly expression of self. The goal doesn't matter to me. It's the delivery of tools. So I appreciate you all assisting me in cultivating that space because I can only do so much from back here. But I appreciate all of you holding space, especially for those who come in stomping their feet and screaming about stuff, right? When we see a 2-year-old come into the room, we recognize that the 2-year-old is just being the 2-year-old. And we love the 2-year-old for being the crazy, expressive 2-year-old that they are. It's okay for them to be young. We don't call it unhealed. And I encourage you to shift. Hey, Jake, I encourage you to shift your language and perspective around this so that instead of judging other people, because to judge somebody else is to judge yourself too. That maybe we can see them just as young, as children, as developing, as beautiful, just as they are. Again, you wouldn't go into the flower field and chide, call the daisies that are missing petals, you wouldn't call them ugly, unhealed, broken fucking flowers. Maybe you would, I don't know. I don't know what you do when you talk to the flowers. I don't. Okay, so we are almost at 10:10. Do you guys want to sit for a little meditation? Thank you, Bonnie. Judge yourself every day. Not good. Yes, well, this is what we were talking about with the Vishudda chakra, the throat chakra. The throat chakra has an inward spiral of energy. The heart chakra can, and so can these others, have an inward spiral of this energy that nourishes us, that supports us, that encourages us, that loves us. We can have all these inward energies too. But the throat chakra has one, whether it's excess, deficient, or balanced. And again, this is where we develop that negative self-talk. And this, during the age that this develops, between the ages of 7 to 12, that is where a lot of those statements came from. If you examined your self-talk, most of the ones that you have in there from your childhood are probably from the ages of 7 to 12. Because 1, your brain just shifted. 1, your throat chakra is developing that time. 2, at the age of 8, your brain shifts out of theta brain waves, approximately 8, and you come into the waking time. You are fully immersed in the matrix, although you are still developing. You are no longer in the dream state. Up until the age of 8, you are still in the dream state. So please stop shaming and guilting yourself for whatever happened at that point. Actually, stop shaming and guilting yourself entirely, but, or you do you. All right, so here is our mudra to work with the throat chakra. This is a pretty simple one, but I want you to honor where you are at in the moment. I'm sorry, Mike, I just missed your comment here. Am I familiar with Kundalini? Yes. Yes, I am. And I do regular, what I call meat suit challenges a couple times a year to work with Kundalini energy. But I will talk about those another time. I will do another one here soon. Yay, Leb. I always wait until 10:10, guys, because I know everybody takes a minute to filter in. So I want you to know, even if I start early, I won't do the meditation before 10:10. However, this is a very quick class. I do have to go. I've got some appointments today. So we are going to do a 5-minute meditation. Why just 5 minutes? Because it takes 5 minutes for the mudra to move the energy through your entire system. So I encourage you, if you have 5 minutes, sit with us for just those 5. I will encourage you to close your eyes and take some deep breaths. That helps you get into the space, this soothing inner space. But if it's not available to you, i.e. you're driving, please don't close your eyes, right? If deep breaths are just not your thing, that's okay. Take what pieces resonate with you and carry them with you. Plant them within yourself. And if they grow, right? Bring the back of your hands together and interlace your fingers. Start with just the tips of your fingers and you can modify, okay? Start with the tips of your fingers and then curl your hands in to close your hands and create 2 interlocking circles by touching your thumb and your index fingers together. You can do this a little bit tighter. I personally like the tighter mudra, but it is totally up to you. Again, honor where you're at. Do not create tension. We are not creating tension here in the mudra. We hold our mudra with intention only. That's all you need, intention only. So interlace those fingers again, hands back to back. Curl them up, close them up. This always reminds me of that little like church and steeple thing. Here is the church, here is the steeple. Open the doors, here are the people. Yeah, do that with your hands. And then interlace your pointer, your index, and your thumb together. Now you've got this nice little interlocking knot. Bring this up to your throat, up to the base of your throat. If you'd like to put it up towards underneath your chin, you can do that too. I love mudras because they can be really sneaky ways to offer balance. For example, if I am in a conversation with somebody and I am really struggling to communicate, I can rest my elbows on the table and put my chin like this and hold a mudra here at my throat without looking like I'm doing anything at all, and help balance my ability to not only express myself, but also receive the information. All right, so we will sit for a 5-minute meditation. So get your mudra, place it here in front of your throat. Go ahead and close your eyes, and we will take 3 deep breaths to fully arrive here for our practice. Begin by inhaling through the nose, pulling the breath through the lungs and into the belly. And sigh it out. Inhale again, lifting the heart and elongating the spine. And sigh it out. Inhale again, this time expanding the rib cage in all directions, front, sides, and back, and holding at the top. Expand that rib cage just a little bit more with a little more breath. A little more. And let it go. Now go ahead and seal the lips and bring the tongue to touch the roof of the mouth. Don't worry about exactly where right now. Just curl the tongue up and touch the roof of the mouth gently. I say no more than the weight of a nickel. See if you can find that level of intention in the connection between the tongue and the roof of your mouth. No more than the weight of a nickel. And as you sit with your mudra, your tongue touching the top of your mouth, keeping the lips sealed, follow the breath. Inhale all the way to the top and exhale all the way to the bottom. Take several moments here just staying with the breath. Allow each exhale to release any tension in the breath, in the body, in the being. Thoughts are tension. Physical discomfort is tension. Skips in the breath is tension. Tightness in your mudra or too much pressure on the top of your mouth is tension. So I invite you to release that tension with each exhale. And anytime any of these tensions arise, pressure, thoughts, discomfort, skips in the breath, I invite you to meet it with compassion and then release any attachment to it. Allow everything to rise and fall with the same rhythm as the breath. Just like your heart rises and falls in your breath, so do your thoughts rise and fall in your mind. So does your inhale rise and fall. So does your rib cage expand and contract. So do pains in the body come and go. Allow everything within you to align to the rhythm of your breath. And anytime anything pulls you away, just redirect your attention to the breath, to this practice, to releasing tension. Keep breathing. Find a nice, steady, comfortable rhythm of breath that doesn't make you feel short of breath, that you can maintain for as long as you need to. Just 2 more minutes. Following the inhale all the way to the top. And following the exhale all the way to the bottom, releasing any tension, any distraction, and bringing our awareness back to the breath. Nothing more, nothing less than the breath. It's okay if your mind is very busy. No need for shame, no need for guilt, no need to attach any stories to it. All of those create tension too. So we just release it, the thought, the sensation, the worry, the fear, and we return to our intention, to our focus, just the breath. I invite you now to take 3 deep breaths again. This time, bring more depth to the breath. Inhale through the nose, pull the breath through the lungs and into the belly. And sigh it out. Feel the depth that's now available after just sitting with the breath for a few minutes. Inhale again, lifting the heart and lifting through the top of the head. And let it go. Inhale once more, expanding the ribcage in all directions, front, sides, and back, and holding at the top. As you're holding, imagine that breath is swirling around inside your lungs and inside your throat, clearing away any tension, anything stuck, anything rigid, anything you no longer need, and sigh that shit out. Let it go. At this point, we have gone through 5 minutes, so you are welcome to stay with your practice if you'd like to. Remember to keep the tongue barely touching the roof of your mouth, just touching the roof of your mouth with intention alone, holding your mudra here at your throat, and check in with your mudra. If you are going to stay with it, check in with your mudra and make sure it hasn't collapsed in on itself. Sometimes when our attention is elsewhere, our mudra can kind of fall apart. So bring intention back to your mudra if you are going to stay with the practice. I encourage you to stay with it as long as you would like to, and use it anytime you need to. When you feel complete, I invite you to release the mudra and bring your hands into prayer, or simply lay one over the other over your heart in gratitude for today's practice. In gratitude for this divine prana that flows through our conduits, flows through our bodies, allowing us to align, heal, and expand and grow. In gratitude for these magnificent meat bags we get to drive around throughout this lifetime, and offer yourself some gratitude for taking the time for self-care today. I'm proud of you. I hope you are too. Thank you all again for joining me and helping me cultivate this CAYA space where we can learn and grow and thrive together. When you are ready to come out of meditation completely, please do so slowly. Offer yourself some wiggles and stretches. Another really nice way to end your meditations is to rub your palms together. Not only does this warm the hands, but it also activates all the pressure points, all the energy centers and meridians and whatnot in the body, because they all connect to the hands. And once they are nice and warm, you can cup them over your eyes and flutter your eyes open, or just keep them closed here for a few moments because it's really nice. This helps to relax the parasympathetic nervous system by covering your eyes with your hands. So both ways we offer ourselves a little bit of a system, whole system, soothe, whole system, warm. Only open your eyes when you are fully committed, fully ready to come back to this reality, to come back to this thing that we call life. You're very welcome, June. So, for those of you just joining us, here is our Vishudda Mudra. This is the throat chakra mudra. Bring the back of your hands together and interlace your fingers. Close the hands and create 2 interlocking circles with your pointer and your thumb. Hold it here at your throat. Don't worry about exactly where at your throat. As long as you've got it at least up above your heart, you should be just fine. Remember that mudras work to redirect the energy channels in the body. So the work that the mudra is doing, a lot of it is happening already in my hands. Where I hold it amplifies that. The most important parts of mindfulness. Hey, Black Bag Therapist, thank you. Welcome. Glad to see you again. The most important parts of mindfulness are your intention and your attention. If my intention is to receive the benefits of this mudra, then during my practice, it is my role, my responsibility, to redirect my attention to that intention again and again and again. And when you first start this practice, it will be like herding cats. It will be very distracting. That's part of the process. Because mindfulness is a skill we cultivate. Just like learning to ride a bike. We train our brain, teach our brain, invite our brain to join us in this practice, to sit with this practice. The brain, when we give it all of our attention and all of the Happy Monday, Zach, all of the authority, as many of us have for a long time, because culturally that's what we're told we do, is that your brain is the thing that does all the things, but it's not. It becomes very arrogant. It becomes very sure of itself, but in reality, it's just the motherboard of the computer in your car, right? Maybe it's not even the steering wheel. Hey, Dee. The brain is secondary to the heart. Oh, nice. You got a good boost from this one. I love this mudra in particular. The throat chakra is one that I honestly have been working with for a long time. Those of you who've been around a lot, you know a bit about my story. And I was definitely thwarted a lot in this expression. But it's been a beautiful journey, and it's little tools like this that make all the difference. And again, like I said, use this when you need it. Do I astral project? I do astral projection. I also teach astral projection. And I encourage anyone experimenting with astral projection to seek someone who has done it before and is familiar with the practices, please. There are very real things out there in reality that are, it's a really important thing to do with somebody who is skilled at it. Not that you can't explore it on your own, but when you explore it on your own, please be mindful. Please be mindful. Bring your intention and your attention to the practice. Don't treat it flippantly. Leb, because I express myself so well now. It's, like I said, it's been a lifelong process. And honestly, it was a lifelong process of determining my honesty. What do we talk about? Okay, guys, I do have to go here in just a couple minutes because I have some appointments to get to, but I wanted to talk one more time about what happens between the ages of 7 to 12. Remember the replay, guys? Well, the replay for today's class will be on YouTube. It's already up there right now. I'm live on YouTube. Hey, YouTube. So you can go back and listen to some more information as we talked about the throat chakra. I got on a little early because I have appointments. So this develops between the ages of 7 to 12. This is this time also when the brain comes out of the dream time and we start to develop our moral compass in this world. This is where we also start to experience our personal sense of responsibility as well as personal consequences. This is the only chakra that, regardless of the station it is in, it has an inward flow that is always influencing you. This is where we develop our self-talk, right? This inward flow of love and nurturing can absolutely be thwarted by a deficiency in this energy, in this chakra. However, a deficiency here means even more of that energy comes flowing into the self, and that a deficient chakra with that inner spiral of energy becomes a cycle of negative self-talk, or basically, essentially just unexamined opinions, values, thoughts, and beliefs about self. We are pack animals. We are mirrors for each other. We are necessary to each other to thrive, because part of that is the creative expression of self, so that that creative expression can bounce off of everyone and everything else, and we can see ourselves as we are reflected back. It's different than as we are reflected within. The way that I see myself in all my inner reflections, if unexamined, will not reflect my external reality. If not expressed externally, will not then reflect my external reality. The throat chakra is also not just about expression, but also about reception. Can I hear and listen to somebody else? Can I receive someone else's opinion, even if it's different from mine? Aw, Mullet Cookie, I love you. I am not your guru. You are your guru. It is only you that can sit in meditation with these tools and bring your attention back to your intention. It is only you that can approach this space and these practices with willingness and curiosity. I can't make anything like that happen. I do hope that you use these tools. I do hope that you approach this space with curiosity and willingness, because there is an abundance of opportunity here to develop tools that bring you home to self. And that's the journey we are all on. Home to self. But you can't come home unless you leave home first. You can't find your way if you didn't get lost first. So good for you. For getting lost, for leaving home, for feeling scared, for feeling broken, for getting some scars and some bruises and some imbalances and whatnot. Because now you have this beautiful lifetime opportunity to develop you, to meet yourself, to be present, patient, and loving with yourself, to offer yourself all of the things that you wish you could get outside. And I guarantee you, I don't do a lot of guarantees. I guarantee you that when you start to love yourself, nurture yourself, make yourself feel safe, trust yourself, it is a completely different depth of experience than anything you've experienced outside of yourself. You're welcome, Willow Bee. Mullet Cookie. If I lack something that another possesses, I admire and mimic it. If I have an aversion, I go work inward. Remember, an aversion, right? An aversion is always an indication of something imbalanced within us, or really, it's just an attachment somewhere. Because if I am curious and willing and authentic in myself and expression and centered, then whatever your opinion or perspective is does not shift me or mine. They can all wash over me, and then I can choose what to accept and what to take with me and what to appreciate and value and what to leave for you, and go, oh, well, that's obviously not for me, but that's very interesting that you believe that thing and see the world in this totally different perspective. Cool. You are valuable, and you are healing. You have the opportunity to heal because you were broken first, because you had those hard things happen first. So meet yourself with compassion, because you deserve it. And if you're sitting here trying to get that from anyone or anything outside of yourself, my friend, it doesn't matter how much of it you receive. It'll never be the quality that you need unless you give it to yourself first. And then once you get to feed to yourself first and discover what you really need, then you can find that for outside of yourself that really resonates with your truth. I love you all so much. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for joining me for class. Remember, the replays will be up for a week after class on my YouTube channel. Please go follow me on YouTube. Most of the content goes there. I do use the TikTok account a lot, but they hide my content a ton. It's useful and helpful, so of course it's not eligible for FYP. It's interested in bringing you back to your center, bringing you back to your captain, helping you discover your locus of control and sense of personal freedom and autonomy. Those are not popular topics on social media, so they hide my shit. If you'd like to really interact with this content, really interact with the information, please go follow my Patreon page, patreon.com/movewithchange, and come join me in the Discord. We can talk at length in the Discord. I do share more stuff in the Discord. And if you would like to dive deeper, work with me, join our group coaching sessions, there are memberships available both on TikTok and on Patreon. So again, I apologize today, guys. It is a very quick session. I did get on about 9:30, so we've got an hour of class over on YouTube. So please go ahead and watch the class, watch it if you'd like to on YouTube. Sit with your mudra this week today. We will, remember guys, Monday, we meditate for 5 minutes with the mudra. That's it. Wednesday, we dive a little bit deeper and we spend about 10 minutes in meditation and add a little bit to the practice. Saturday, we go into a deeper meditation. I usually like to do at least 10, if not 15 or more minutes in a nice longer meditation. We add more things like mantras, breath work, visualizations. That gets the really big, juicy meditation happens on Saturdays. These are the Bhakti Bites classes. Please join me for Bhakti Bites. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time is when we do the meditation. I am often on well before and well after class. I love you all so much. Thank you. Thank you all. And I will at the very least, see you in class on Wednesday morning if I don't see you in the Discord. And I certainly hope to see you in the Discord. The Vishudda chakra, actually, the chakras are like my favorite thing to talk about because they're the energy body, and the energy body is so spectacular and simple to work with. And I feel like it's a travesty that we don't all completely understand intimately the energy body. And I'm here to share it with you. And I do it for free. So come into the Discord so I can talk about it. Talk about the thing that I really, really love. All right, guys. I love you. Sorry for this short session, but Wednesday will be longer. Okay? All right. Good night, YouTube.